This is a year of action. We're not just hyping each other up, motivating each other. We're getting the things done. No one talks about that in between. And I feel like that's where I am building a life for myself brick by brick. I am starting over, not necessarily being a different person, because you all know I've always been about the glow up, be better, grow, learn new things. I've always been about self improvement, but this time it's a little deeper. Adding on to the videos I posted prior, where I really had to sit down and look at myself, like look at where I was, where I wanted to be, and everything in between. So that came down to relationships, romantic, friendships, family relationships. That came down to career. Like, yes, we all want to get to the bag, or we all want to make a substantial amount of money, but like, what is really fulfilling you? And on top of that, for myself included, being laid off and realizing that I tied my self worth to a position, to a job, to a role, it just didn't sit right with me. So, we're going to get back into the reinvention diaries. It's been so different for me because I'm really leaning into fixing, or I don't even want to say fixing. I would say acknowledging things that have happened in my childhood, in my teenhood, in my early 20s. Like, I'm really leaning into those lessons and the part that I played, the part that people played, how situations made me feel, and really looking at, like, hey, did I really process through that, or did I just bypass it? Because as an eldest daughter, I'm someone who's always been taught to like take care of everyone, to put my feelings on the back burner. Or I give this example so many times, but going to therapy, they were like, what are you doing? That's telling somebody your business. Like, we don't talk about our business to other people. Really divine timing how I was able to put myself in therapy for years. So, that being said, I had that realization the other day that I've been doing the work. I've been on this journey of becoming. I wish I would have shared more online. Just this eldest daughter syndrome of like having to be put together and perfect, and the aesthetics have to be all together. And if they're not, then like you don't show up. That needs to stop. So I'm forcing myself even to come on camera now in the midst of, hey, I'm building something and I'm really excited for where I'm at, but I don't have it all figured out. To switch things up, we started off the year in Mexico City. Okay. That's like the first update slash intention that I'm setting for the year, and have been for the past couple of months, where I'm going to try and do things that scare the hell out of me. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I feel like that's going to be the place where you can see real time or quicker updates. I'll put some of the clips here. But Mexico was everything I imagined it to be, and then some. Coming from the Caribbean, I noticed a lot of the similarities in terms of how they live, the kindness of the people, but that set the tone for the year. Coming back from that trip, walking the streets, taking in the air, seeing the art, the fashion, learning about these Mexican fashion designers, the high end fashion, the architecture. Besides the buildings, the bathrooms themselves are aesthetic. I was in my element, such a vibe. And returning to the States and really getting that perspective on life, like, hey, I don't want to have to force anything. I don't want to live a life that's not intentional, meaning I'm putting my thoughts, my words, my actions into it. Everything must lead to something, not just doing something to do something, not hanging with people to hang with people. Like, it really switched the energy for me. And I realized that every time I've grown the most in my life, it's when I started with a decision to reconstruct or crash, burn everything down and build it right back up. You all saw that when I moved out of my home city. You all saw that when I moved to New York and navigating roommates and all of those things. And it's interesting how I was always building her. You may also be on that journey where you got glimpses of who you wanted to be and you have put things into practice, but you didn't necessarily develop a strict program. That is what we're doing this year, developing a strict program. If you all are into numerology, astrology, we can chit chat in the DMs or let me know if you want me to talk more about that on the channel. But this is a universal 1 year, meaning it's the beginning of a cycle. We set the intentions this year and it's going to last for a whole another 9 years. It's serious. So that being said, I feel like for me, there are four things I want to work on. I have here in my notes identity, income, platforms, and lifestyle. Identity, I kind of spoke a little bit about that, but basically, I am choosing myself. We're entering into the main character era, which will make us the villain in somebody else's story. I spoke about that in my past couple of videos, but I am well okay with that. And I have been keeping that energy for the past couple of months because at the end of the day, we're moving with knowing and audacity. Audacity meaning you may not be fully qualified for something, but you're applying. You may not fully be ready or sure, but you're moving forward because why not? Why not you? And the knowing that things are going to work out. You may not know the how, what, where, when, but you know. Delusion is only self belief, strong self belief, and that's the energy that we're moving with this year. The second point I have here is income. So, you all know I've spoken about freelancing in the past, where essentially you do work on behalf of people. People hire you to perform specific tasks. And, I think I want to change the dynamics a little bit where I'm basically helping people to get the task done. Okay, I think there's a little shift in that where I'm not putting so much on my plate or worrying about speaking in the voice of someone else, i.e., copywriting. I'm more so teaching people how to find their voice. And I think it's so interesting how a lot of us don't realize side hustles or starting businesses, they come from essentially leveraging your skills that you have in your 9 to 5, your skills that you have with your degrees, your skills that you have, even with a job that you may be working right now that you're not 100% like in tune with, but they're things that you've picked up on that you're good at, right? You literally can leverage those as a side hustle. So why not? Why not move with audacity, looking at your qualifications, looking at the tasks that you already do and packaging them up into an offer. I do want to add that I think for me, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, the shift came from seeing the state of the world and personally being laid off or personally being in spaces where my opinion, my skills weren't valued, and then having a manager that would micromanage. It was just very heavy, okay? I dealt with a very heavy workplace and I vowed to myself in that moment, like, hey, I have to figure out different avenues for myself. It's not like I haven't done it before, but that's the thing. When you work as a freelancer or a content creator, you have to be 10 toes in, okay? Like, not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That's the only way it's going to work. And that's with anything, whether you're switching careers, going to school, starting your content creation journey, being a creative, an entrepreneur of any kind. And I think that was the mistake that I made. You don't have to start over from scratch all the time. You don't have to completely toss out an idea. Sometimes your ideas are just half baked. And what that means is you have all of the ingredients, right? It's like baking a cake. You have the egg, the flour, you may be missing the butter, you may be missing the cinnamon. It doesn't mean that you can't form something, but you just need to really evaluate what you're missing, what worked, what didn't work, put it all together. Everything is either a lesson or a blessing. It's either it works out or you learn something that's going to help you to get to the next step or the next level. So the third point that I wanted to touch on is platforms. And I know I spoke about this at the beginning of the video. What am I doing differently with my platforms? Maybe you all can relate. When it comes to starting the new year off, we have all of these plans. And I don't want to be a hypocrite. I've spoken about this before. I don't believe in new year, new me. I believe that you can be new at any point in time. You can wake up and decide to be a completely different person today, tomorrow. Okay, do it for the plot. I spoke about being the main character just a while ago, right? So, that being said, I have taken a step back from YouTube over the past couple of months because honestly, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to show up. And we spoke about that before, where like, we can't do things for the aesthetics, we can't do things when we're ready. And that's kind of like what I've been doing. It's this cycle and this loop that I've been stuck in because I'm like, man, I have to have it all figured out. I have to come in here with these big updates. And like, I kind of gave you all one, like going to Mexico City at the beginning of the year. A second one would be the growth of my Substack, which is essentially a platform for writers and podcasters. And I'm sure they're going to add more integrations in the future. But I've been present there. So if you all have not been following me over there, I don't know what to tell you. We dive a little bit deeper. So for the new year, I'm focusing on YouTube, Substack, and Instagram only for quick updates. And I know what you all are thinking. We're moving forward, okay? It's a brand new year, brand new energy. YouTube and I will always be like this. We'll always be super close. I feel like this is where I can come and really share my reflections, share what I'm going through, as well as give you tips for the things that I've learned. I noticed this pattern in my videos, like when it came to finally deciding to choose myself, or when it came to me moving out of my hometown, my home city. I decided to just come on here and yap. And I want to do more of that, but actually showing, like I talked about in the beginning of the video, the step by step process, actually talking about the pros and cons and the challenges. So, that being said, I had to take a step back to really evaluate what I wanted to do with YouTube. And I feel like we're just going to treat it like FaceTime with a friend. Like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. This is what's working. And that brings me to Substack. Like I mentioned, it's a platform for writers, for free thinkers, thought leaders, podcasters. So I've just been sharing a lot of my letters over there. If you're not a content creator here on YouTube, you may not know that there's certain keywords, phrases, obviously cursing, and certain things that you just cannot say in your video or else your video gets flagged. And I even experienced a minor setback with two of my videos where there were words that I used that were not even in that category, but they're more sensitive words and it triggered the algorithm. It's a whole thing, but nevertheless, I feel like I can really get deep over there. I can give practical tips and tricks in my inner circle, speaking from the perspective of a woman. Like, that's why it's called Becoming Her. We are on the journey to becoming the best version of ourselves, and that journey is continuous. There'll always be growth, there'll always be things to learn. So I think it's an outlet for me and also a place where we can go back and forth more freely. But obviously, you all are open to commenting down below if anything I say in my videos resonate with you. Instagram, like, I don't understand. Me and Instagram, we're figuring each other out, okay? We have a love-hate relationship. I just feel like for me personally, it's going to be best for updates. Like I spoke about my trip to Mexico. That's something that you would have already seen, like the foods and where I was at, the monuments I was visiting, and all of the good things, right? So make sure to follow me there too. And also, if you want to send me a DM, it may be a little bit better than, for instance, messaging me on Substack, or some people have even used my email that's used for business inquiries to like send me questions. Just no, everything is always going to be in the description, and I'm going to put myself on a strict program with that. Talking about a strict program, my last point, which is lifestyle, right? I don't think I need to even go into depth with this, but I think on the journey to reinventing yourself, you have to take a look at your lifestyle, where you are and what you want. For me, I've realized my lack of routine has set me back so many times. And no routine is a routine. If you don't choose, a choice will be made for you. So I've consistently been meditating, I've consistently been reading, I've been consistently journaling, and I've spoken about these in many, many videos, but was I consistent? And then on top of that, it's really being intentional. So having a set playlist on YouTube that you go to, or a set playlist in your Apple Music or whatever platform you use, realizing like, hey, if I have more time today where I can sit and meditate for an hour, oh, we're going all out. I'm doing all of the things. But then if you have an appointment, you're late for work, or you have to do something, you need to have your 10, your 15-minute meditation or your 10-15 minute wake up or morning routine, right? I can't tell you what that is. For me, it's changed so many times over the years. But what I can say is the excuse of, I don't have time. You can't allow yourself to psych yourself out. You can't make excuses for yourself. That's how strict this program is. So for me, it's like, hey, if I have an appointment or I have to get out of the door, 10 minutes, what does that look like? It looks like sitting with myself, meditating, setting my intentions. Today is going to be a good day. I speak all about this in my Substack article. I'll link it down below. This is not the year you play small, but basically, we do that. I may journal a word or two in my journal, but then I'm out the door. The hour morning routine, we're setting the intentions for the day. Today is going to be a good day. I am powerful. I am strong. Whatever your affirmations are, you say those. You get into your meditation, however you choose to do that. You journal. You have to find a way to brain dump. You have to find a way to unleash those thoughts. Good thoughts, bad thoughts, thoughts that scare you, thoughts that uplift you. I find that for myself personally, when I don't express, so that's through creativity, that's through writing, whatever avenue. For you, it may be cooking. For you, it may be working out. For you, it may be painting, coloring. You have to find that avenue. You're essentially going to be like a pot with boiling water and the cover on. You ever try to boil water and then you have the cover on, you're boiling the water, and then when it gets really hot, like sometimes the cover starts shaking? That's who you are as a human being. Like, that's exactly the representation of a human being. We have so much going on in our everyday, right? We have family, friends, obligations, spouses, obligations with your kids. You have to take that time for yourself every single day. If you can't do it in the morning, you wake up, you're like, you know what, today's a good day. Any challenges that come my way, I can handle it. Like, you hype yourself up, right? You move through the day. At night, after the kids have went to sleep, or your spouse has gone to bed, or if you can just find that pocket, lock yourself in a closet. Lock yourself in the bathroom. Take your journal. I know it sounds dramatic, but that's how strict I am about my me time, my selfish era, and becoming the villain, because it doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person, but I'm telling you, these small changes compound, and I'm seeing it in my own life right now. Getting back to the category of income, when I was talking about freelancing and essentially changing the format, I had to really brain dump that on paper. In my journal, I was like, okay, what does it look like for me being an entrepreneur? What do I want my day to day to look like? What do I want to feel like? How can I help more people? You have to look at your path and how can you simplify it? How can you automate it? What things can you outsource as an entrepreneur, as a creative, or just as an everyday person? You have to find a way to block out the noise. And noise can be different for many people. I don't know you, I don't know your situation. I know that we're all kind of living in this reality. And it's one thing to be aware, to keep abreast. And it's another thing to realize that you can only focus on the things you can control. This is not even the state of the world, but more so in your everyday life. That is how strict the program is, because I've gave you all examples. I've put my business out there a few times as a recovering people pleaser. I'm the girly who's there at every function. I am the sister, I am the daughter who's the fixer, who is going to get the job done. But at the end of the day, when I looked in the mirror, I was not content with what I was seeing. I was depleted. I was tired. I saw a meme and I wish, I need to do better, and I will, I promise. But basically, it's this guy sitting at a desk and there's like a pile of papers, right? And he's like, me dealing with all of the things my family did not deal with. So he's taking a paper from one pile and putting it into a little pile, essentially representing doing the mental work or healing the trauma. A lot of us are the generational trauma breakers. We are the ones that are put here to be the one, unfortunately, to be uncomfortable because we decide to do the things differently. We decide to step out and say no more, especially if you're a woman. Hence, becoming her. Join us over there. I'm telling you, being a first woman to actually take entrepreneurship and creative freedom seriously, like it has weight. People look at you and ostracize you, and you're already the villain because you're deciding to not do the traditional thing. There's nothing traditional about my lifestyle. You all know. I've moved so much times in the past 3 years. Not saying it's been easy or luxurious or like, no. I needed change. I'm someone who likes to explore different cultures, different food. I spoke to you all about Mexico. Literally, family, friends. Oh, there's so much going on over there. The fair mongering. I would have never went and had that beautiful experience. It's like like a mini New York. If not, the development, like the architecture and all of the above is top tier. I'm not taking away from things happening in certain locations, etc., but it's kind of like something can happen to you in your own neighborhood. Something can happen to you in another city, in another state, in another country. I don't have any time to read any pages for you all, but I finished her. This book single-handedly is worth the hype. And as someone who has read a lot of self-help, self-improvement books, as you all can see, this one basically tied it all together for me. Once you can actually look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, you're the problem, that's when it all changes. It is you versus you at the end of the day. The mountain is you, just like she said. I'll put the link in my description. If you all have Prime, you can get it in 2 days. I definitely recommend reading that book and getting it out of the way because, like I mentioned, this is a year of action. We're not just hyping each other up, motivating each other. We're getting the things done. You want to make sure like you're mentally and energetically charged. So any venture that you're going into, or if you want to strengthen your venture, your platforms, or just be a better person in general, make sure that you're not the person standing in your way. So all of the things that I spoke about in this video, I'm going to be making separate videos and we're going to go in depth. I want to see my girlies. I want to see my guys. If you're a guy watching this, win. Comment down below, how's your year been going so far? Happy March, happy spring by the time you're seeing this. I really want to know how you all are doing. Like, what were some of the shifts you experienced in 2025? And let's try to keep it, we know what's going on. When we turn that TV on, we know what's going on when we scroll. But how are you doing now? Like, what are some changes you're trying to make? I know for me, like I said, there's highs and lows, there's ups and downs, but like we're going to get through it together. So let's chat in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram. Everything will be in my description as far as Substack and all of the other things. Until next time.